what the economy holds for us this year 2025. But 2025, as a matter of fact, is a year that is so promising. Let's go on a quick break. When we return from this break, we'll look at the pages of the newspaper to see what the stories are saying. Stay with us. Looking at the pages of the newspaper, we should know that there are stories coming from different angle, different perspective to every story. And one very serious thing that happens this day is people don't even know which story is true and which one is false because of the digital age. A lot of people come on the internet and they write whatever they want to write. Stories that are not verified, stories that are not accurate. But then it depends on what you consume on the social media. The newspapers are already verified. That's why we call them national dailies. These are newspapers that the editors already have verified stories before they actually come up. And the reason why we try as much as possible to bring you stories, headlines from the national daily is because that is more authentic than any story you see on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube, or on WhatsApp. You see a lot of people putting you in different groups where they send messages. A lot of bloggers are doing so much today just to get money for themselves, and they put out stories that are not really true. They are not true. They are not true stories. By the time you pick those stories and you run with them, before you know it, you are either maybe, as the case may be, doing something that is wrong, or spreading something that is not true because it came from the social media. If just somebody, a YouTuber or maybe a blogger, because why I'm saying this is because before I woke up this morning, there are a lot of stories on different platforms already. But what you need to do is you check these stories with the ones on the national dailies to know if it is true or not. We are looking at the original papers, right? But then on social media, you see some bloggers, you just see some mediums. You see the name, you'll be surprised. Individuals are the ones doing that. Sometimes some of the stories are genuine, not all. I'm not saying all stories on the internet are not genuine. All stories on the internet are genuine, but you need to be careful, all right, the kind of stories you consume, okay? And this is it. Before you even go spreading any story, you need to first of all verify it to see how accurate it is. You need to verify it to see how authentic it is. You need to know that this story is the same with what we have on the pages of the newspaper, because any editor, all right, from these media houses, whatever they do, they have already verified them. The reporters will bring the story, and the stories are verified before they actually bring it on the papers, on the pages of the newspaper. So today we have some newspapers that we'll be looking at today as time will permit us. That's what we'll do. We'll be looking at the Vanguard newspaper. From the Vanguard, we'll quickly move to the Daily Times newspaper. on the Daily Times newspaper, we have a lot of stories. Then from the Daily Times newspaper, we get to the Punch newspaper and see some of the punchy stories that are in there. Then from the Punch newspaper, we will move to the Daily Trust newspaper. I'm actually bringing you to speed with the papers that we'll be looking at today, so that you will know that all the papers that we always bring to you on Global Morning are national dailies, and they are stories that are already verified. After the Daily Trust, which other paper are we going to be looking at? We will look at the Nigerian News Direct. The Nigerian News Direct is another paper again where you have some stories that are coming directly from the main source. Then of course we will also look at the Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard is a paper that has pedigree, so any story we bring to you from the papers are very genuine, but then they are strictly informations and stories coming from the media houses. We are not the ones, okay, that are bringing these stories up. There are stories on the papers already, okay. And from the Guardian newspaper, we look at the Nation's newspaper, and that's going to be all. After the Nation's newspaper, which other paper do we have again? We have the Blueprint newspaper, where we have some very beautiful stories. I'm just wishing that we will have all the time to take all the stories that we have for you today. And the reason why we need you to know this is because you need this information, and it is your right to know as a citizen of this country. That's the reason we always tell you, if you want to know anything about news and current affairs, you tune to Global Television on DSTV channel 365, and of course we are on Star Times 2, and we will also bring you those details on Facebook, and of course on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube. All right, quickly let's get started with the major headlines. Like I told you, these are newspapers of repute. The Vanguard newspaper have this headline, and I'm beginning from the Star Story, which says 2025. That's the kicker. Organized private sector charts economic growth path. All right. Just one rider to that story. Nasima, Man, LCCI make recommendations. All right. Details of that you can get on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Then above the nameplate, single-use plastics enforcement of ban starts in 14 days. Lagos government address food insecurity, economic hardship now. Southern monarchs tell the federal government. That's something that has plagued the society. A lot of people are hungry today. They don't even know what to do anymore, you know. But then no matter what, Nigerians are very strong people. I know that all this will also pass, but then the federal government has been told by monarchs to address food insecurity, economic hardship. 4 dead, scores injured. 2 banks razed as petrol tanker exploded at Agbo. Details on page 5. Fubara can transact business with true lawmakers. Court rules. Details on page 12. The problem in Rivers State is still on, but then sometimes you begin to wonder, for how long is this situation going to be? This is like running a year plus. It's a very long time. Fubara has not had time to really face the affairs of Rivers State squarely. All right, 100% as the governor, because of the rift between him and Wike and some of the presidents in Rivers State. But then I think it's so good that he's beginning to find his foot gradually. Still from the Vanguard newspaper this morning, vet doctors raise concern over dog attacks, death. PDP will produce more governors in 2027. NWC, that's the National Working Committee, the one saying that. Details on page 8. This says Tinubu Mba doing everything possible to provide security attracts investor to Enugu State. The president was in Enugu State to commission some projects, and a lot of commendations coming for the governor of Enugu State since that visit, and it's on the pages of the newspaper this morning. Drug shipment. NDLEA nabbed wanted kingpin Nollywood filmmaker. No plans to destroy 6 million PVCs, says INEC. We haven't reached 90% completion. BUA refinery, Bua refinery. We haven't reached 90% completion. All right, that's the details from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And from the Vanguard newspaper, let's get to the next point of call. Like I already gave the roll call, we are moving straight to the Daily Times newspaper this morning. And on the Daily Times newspaper, I will get started with the major story. All the stories are major, as a matter of fact. The major story, when I say the major story, I'm talking about the big story, the star story on the Daily Times, which says President Tinubu preaches unity in Southeast. President Tinubu preaches unity in Southeast. Then above the nameplate, 2027, Kwankwaso bombs not, accuses leaders of falsehood. That is the presidential candidate of the NNPP in the 2023 presidential election. Then more so coming from the Daily Times newspaper this morning. Niger government to support Nigerian Air Force. I think that's better. That's better. Instead of accusations, instead of rift, instead of quarrel here and there. No country of the world will want terrorism, would want kidnap, would want banditry. So if Niger Republic and Nigeria Air Force join forces together, the Nigerian Air Force and the Niger Republic soldiers or Air Force or whatever it is, if they join forces together, it will be good, because they will be able to fight terrorism. And these terrorists are terrorizing both Niger Republic and they are terrorizing Nigeria too. So if the forces come together and something is being done, it's going to go a long way helping both Niger Republic and the federal government too. Now, two more stories. Trump inauguration, that's the kicker. Nathaniel Bassey to minister at inaugural prayer breakfast. It's been on almost all the papers since yesterday. This has not happened before. This is a welcome development, and this in a way try to tell you the role religion play in international relations. This is diplomatic movement. This is something that is commendable. I'm just praying that good relationship will exist between the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the United States of America. More still coming from the Daily Times newspaper. Bauchi government inaugurates 500 road marshals. One rider to that story warns against corruption and indiscipline. Well, that's coming from Bauchi State. Then finally, Serap alleges missing 825 billion naira, $2.5 billion dollars in NNPCL. Okay, details of that you can actually find on page 14 of the Daily Times newspaper. Now from the Daily Times, let's get to the Punch newspaper and see the stories we have on the Punch newspaper this morning and see how punchy that is. Above the nameplate, Tinubu Mba taking Enugu on the path of 21st century development. I told us that, of course, there have been a lot of praising commendations coming from the president and Nigerians to the governor of Enugu State. Okay, and this one says a Labour Party can win 2027 poll without merger. That's the party saying. How possible can that be? Well, it's possible. That's coming from the party. I think they know what they are doing. They know how they are putting their house in order. Someone is saying right now, are you sure with the disagreement that we have, the rift, the crisis in the party, the division, You think Labour Party can actually stand the test of time in 2027? That's what some persons may be saying right now, and it's not far from the truth. If you look at the factions in Labour Party, you talk about the problem in the People's Democratic Party, you look at the NNPP and other parties that would have formed this merger, you won't be surprised. You won't even be confused to know whether which of the factions will participate in the merger. Will there be disagreement? And how do you think a house in disarray will start? House divided against itself? It can never stand. All right, let's see. This coming from Labour Party. Let's see, 2027 is around the corner, as the case maybe this 2025, 26, 27. You think it's far? It's not far. And very soon we'll get there. Now to the big stories on the Punch newspaper. New virus, that's the kicker. Federal government tightens monitoring to quarantine China passengers. One writer to that story, experts demand proactive step as new virus surge in China ravages children. This one says APC dismisses PDP's threat to unseat Oyebanji in 2026. 5 fear dead, banks burnt in Delta tanker explosion. Yuletide holidays. Lagos, Kano, Delta, other schools resume today. Well, the kids are already very excited. This is one thing, you know, when children are excited that school is resuming, you should know that at least the educational sector, to an extent, needs to pick up, and those in private universities, private nursery primary schools don't really feel the heat of what we're talking about. I think something needs to be done concerning the educational system. 18 policemen present when hoodlums attack me. 18 policemen were present when hoodlums attacked me. That's Osun Monarch saying that. So why didn't they do anything? Well, that's a story for another day. A family solicits fund to bury Nigerian students in the United Kingdom. Details on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Now, leaving the Punch, let's get to the next point of call, which is the Daily Trust newspaper. On the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, we have some stories making rounds. Like I said, these are stories that are strictly coming from the national dailies. Bandits kill Miyetti Allah Chia, kidnap wives and daughter. Right, this is the issue of kidnap and banditry is something that has eaten very deep into the fabric of the society. People are so scared. But then we're not saying the security operatives are not doing anything. They are really working, they are on their toes. But then how big, sophisticated experts are these bandits, are these terrorists, that it will take this long to get them wiped out? It's not easy because these are people that have been training, that have been there for a very long time before they actually emerged, before the activities came on board. But then, Nigeria is a great nation where we have experts, security operatives, intelligence everywhere. So I think more needs to be done. All right, bandit killed Miyetti Allah Chia. Someone will say, well, these bandits, like some persons argue, some school of thought has it that these bandits are not really Nigerians. Some people say they are not Northerners. Some other persons say they are Northerners. Some other persons said they are a mix of people from different states. And you will be confused sometimes. But now, the chairman of Miyetti Allah being killed and the wives kidnapped. Now, the man, the husband, has been killed. The wives have been kidnapped. Who will pay the ransom? That's it. The same situation happens sometimes when a military officer was killed. I think the wife was even pregnant and the daughter was kidnapped. They went to the house and the man was killed and they were calling for ransom, and the woman was crying, according to the story. that the man who is supposed to pay this ransom has already been killed. And it was a pathetic situation right there. But then I think something needs to be done as far as this situation is concerned before it gets too serious. It's so good that there is a collaboration between the Niger Republic and the Nigerian Air Force, all in a bid to tackle insecurity in the country. More headlines still coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. Chicken sellers slash prices amidst low patronage before. Well, sometimes you see Nigerians, I will keep saying this, Nigerians are very, very intelligent. You know, before we went on break, before the festive period, before the Christmas, the New Year celebration, we keep telling people that since there is a lot of challenging situations with the economy and people are complaining of hardship, we need to cut our clothes according to the size of the clothes and not the size of our body, because at the end of the day people are going to be stranded. And that's the same, exactly what's happening. The price of just chicken was selling as high as 20,000, 25,000 to 30,000 depending on the size, and that's what you were used to buy a goat back in the days. So there was a low patronage. People don't even have money to eat. How will you be struggling in the midst of a hard economy like this to go and get? It's not compulsory. Nothing is compulsory in this life. So it's so good that Nigerians were able to use wisdom to get through this celebration. New virus hits China. Over 500 hospitalized in UK. Right? We pray it doesn't get here, and that's why the authorities will need to do everything possible, all right, to check people who are coming into this country, especially from the region where this virus is dominant, where it is. Right? Now to the big story this morning from the Daily Trust newspaper. 2 trillion naira power project stalled. One writer to that story, accountability. PPP key to reform, experts. Okay, the private partnership, very important. Then accountability, who is to be held accountable? We keep talking about that right here on almost all our programs. A lot of people are being given assignments without supervision. If you give someone an assignment, okay, maybe a project to do, and no one is supervising, no one is holding him accountable for whatever he does, the person wouldn't mind. The person can just do anything shabby. Some projects have been abandoned in this country because there was no one supervising. No one is being held accountable. If not until someone is supervising and someone is holding the other person accountable, we'll keep having situations like this. 2 trillion naira power project stalled. Where is it? What's happening? Why is it stalled? Who should be held accountable? Who is supervising the project? Alright, moving away from there, let's get to other stories on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. This one says WAEC introduces receipt exams for candidates. Details on page 6. Drug trafficking is the kicker. Saudi Arabia releases 3 Nigerian women after 10 months in jail. Drug trafficking. Saudi Arabia releases 3 Nigerian women after 10 months in jail. They spent 10 months in jail because of drug trafficking. Like a woman was actually arrested in Abuja here, a serious trafficker. But then this one says they've been in jail for 10 months. That's what it is, because it's good to face the full wrath of the law if crime is being committed. But then one other thing you think about is the image of Nigeria. The image of Nigeria, very important. We are clamoring for how we can build a good, strong, reliable and dependable nation, and some other persons are indulging in some acts that are detrimental to the image of the country. It's not a good one. Nation building is the responsibility of everyone, not just an individual. If anything happens, people call on President Bola Tinubu, but what about the individuals? What are we doing? What are you doing in your own capacity to promote national unity and development, to build the society? We need to shun corruption. We need to shun crime so that the image of this country. There are some people that are trying everything possible to build a positive image for this country. Kudos to the ICT Nigerians who are involved in ICT in other countries of the world, the doctors, the nurses that are doing so well, the Okonjo Iwealas and the rest of them. Good, kudos. We need more so that we can put Nigeria on the global map for the good things and not for drug trafficking, not for prostitution, not for negative things, not for money laundering, not for corruption, not for cybercrime. I think this is a responsibility of every patriotic Nigerian. All right, 4 killed, bank raised in Delta tanker explosion. This one says tax reforms. Northern elders, KADCIMA urges more consultation as regards the tax reform. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning as we get to the next paper, which is Nigeria News Direct. Of course, we will bring you more headlines, but then let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll continue with the newspaper headlines as I have the Nigerian News Direct in front of me right here. Welcome back. It is still the newspaper review and what the pages of the newspaper are saying. The Nigerian News Direct has some very important stories this morning. Beginning from the big story, Nigeria's 36 states yearning for return of the People's Democratic Party, according to the National Working Committee. I think that again, Nigeria's 36 states yearning for return of PDP. Alright, NWC is the one saying that. Then just one rider to that story. Anybody who think he is bigger than PDP can leave. This is Governor Diri saying anybody who think he is bigger than the People's Democratic Party can leave the party. The faction, the quarrel in People's Democratic Party is not near over yet. By the time you think it is over, you begin to hear other things. When you see the toad jumping in the daylight, there must be something. It's either it's after something or something is after it. But then, why this statement? Meaning there are still some underground issues. There are some persons that are not satisfied with the activities of the People's Democratic Party. The National Working Committee have already said there is a yearning for the return of People's Democratic Party in the 36 states. Return as what? As president, or the party is dying in the states, or return of PDP governors or state assembly. Well, let's see how it goes because there is still time. There is still time. 2027 is still some meters away. Did I say meters? Wow, like 2 years. 2025 is just starting. But then I think the PDP, the Labour Party, NNPP, they just need to put their house in order. If they must give the ruling party a run for their money, an APC Chieftain once said that the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party and other parties, the opposition parties, are not giving the ruling party, APC, a good run for their money. There is no opposition. There seems not to be an opposition. It's far beyond just coming on news, on the newspaper to make statements. I know Peter Obi and Atiku have been making statements, all right, criticizing or maybe trying to put forth one or two statements to reshape policies or activities of the ruling party, as the case may be. But then I think opposition is far beyond just the write-ups on the national dailies. Okay, let's see what happens at the PDP National Working Committee. What happens there? Let's see what's going to happen much later. More headlines still coming from the Nigerian News Direct. This one says, manhole thieves. Wike vows to apprehend vandals and buyers. Serap probes 825 billion naira, $2.5 billion for refinery repairs. Calls on NNPCL to involve EFCC and ICPC. A gunman killed Miyetti Allah leader, abducts wife's daughter in Katsina State. Aiyedatiwa Dapo Abiodun mourn late Ondo SSG as Ondo declares 3-day mourning. That's on a sad note. We want to say, may the soul of the SSG rest in perfect peace. Our time is running very fast. Let's get to the Guardian newspaper. On the Guardian newspaper this morning, there is this story above the nameplate which says, Tinubu raised Mba for repositioning Enugu for economic growth. Enugu, well, a lot of appraisal and commendation, praise singing coming for the governor of Enugu State since the visit of the president and the commissioning of some projects. This one says, terrorists kill Miyetti Allah chairman, 3 others in Katsina State. Insurgency. Insecurity to end in 2025, CDS tells personnel. Insurgency, insecurity to end in 2025, CDS tells personnel. That will be a good one. I think that's one of the things a lot of Nigerians are waiting for. Maybe on hearing this news, some Nigerians will just shout amen, or they will say, well, we can't wait for this to come, because this is one of the things that has limited Nigerians to the background. It has actually limited a lot of activities. People can't go to farm. Businessmen and women can't travel by road, except if you want to travel by air. Traveling on road is something very, very how would I put it? It's something I can call it danger. It's dangerous. Yeah, traveling by the road on road is dangerous right now because of the activities of kidnappers and these people that are bandits. Well, let's see what happens if insurgency and insecurity becomes a thing of the past in 2025. It's going to go a long way, and the credit will go to this administration, because this is something that has been on since 2015 until now. Now, discount pay 137 billion naira to TCN amid persistent grid collapse. 4 feared dead, property destroyed as petrol tanker explode in Delta State. It's on almost all the papers this morning. Peter Obi declares Peter Obi decries intimidation, insists on fighting for better Nigeria. Peter Obi decries intimidation, insists on fighting for better Nigeria. Well, where's the intimidation coming from? You want to know the details? Pick a copy of the Guardian newspaper and go straight to page 7. INEC denies plan to destroy 6 million unclaimed PVCs. Why are people not claiming their PVC? This is a question. Why? Look at the number. 6 million unclaimed PVC. This is what the money of innocent taxpayers was used to produce. Why have people refused to pick up their PVC? Some Nigerians will tell you because even if we vote, it's not going to count. But then that doesn't mean you should deny yourself of your civic rights. And some of the persons will tell you the process, okay, is tedious for us. Some persons will tell you, well, the location where it is, I can't go pick it. Different reasons. And I want to say, if INEC deny the fact that they won't destroy it, then it is a good one. There should be a proper way of letting these people know. Probably the name of people who own these PVCs can be published, all right, so they can know where it is and the location, maybe at the various wards, or it can be sent to the ward where these persons reside so they can pick it up, except for people who have passed already, who are no more alive. Then if it's not been destroyed, I think it's a good one, but then I think the authorities will need to look into that. Now to the big story on the Guardian newspaper. Fresh agitation trails state's poor execution of new minimum wage. The minimum wage has been in the fall, and of course the implementation, some states are already implementing. Some other states are still saying, well, we can't pay, and some are even increasing it. That's the irony of life. That's how it is for different states. It's not all the time you wait for fact to do certain things. Look inwards as state governors. The president says something very vital this new year. He said the development of Nigeria lies in the hands of the governors. And the governors said the Nigerians will feel the impact of governance from the governors in 2025. So a lot of promises coming in 2025. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and see how all of this will unfold. Now to the Nation's newspaper. On the Nation's newspaper this morning, the big story says battle ranges in PDP National Working Committee. Battles rages. Like I said, the crisis is not over yet. Damagu, some writers to that story. The first writer says Damagu excluded as court-ordered secretary. Others visit governor. Party elder accused Oborori of romancing APC, meaning the problem is so big. Well, they should just try as much as possible to settle themselves. No tin, no exemption from withholding tax. Okay, that's on the Nation's newspaper. Petrol tanker fire wreak havoc in Delta State. 2 flare dead. Buildings raised. That's the writer to the story. Then this one says, still from the Nation's newspaper, a filmmaker arrested for huge drug shipment. The picture of the Nollywood actress is right here. Wanted socialite also held. Details of that you can find on page 6 of the Nation's newspaper. I feel at home in Enugu since Tinubu. That's good. You can see him, the picture story, having putting on the Igbo attire, okay, the Isiagu, and with a red cap alongside with the governor of the state. Well, I think unity is very important as far as Nigeria is concerned. If you want to think about the growth of Nigeria, the development of Nigeria, unity is paramount. If we begin to see ourselves as one, working together, unity in diversity, every state governor, every individual working tirelessly to make sure Nigeria is great, will be a very good thing if that action is brought on board so that we can all work to the growth of the nation. Well, long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And as a matter of fact, moving from the Nation's newspaper, we will go to the last paper for the day as we get ready for the AM news. The big story from the Blueprint newspaper says Kwankwaso to Northern elders, your choice of presidential candidates undermining democracy. That is Kwankwaso, the presidential candidate of the NNPP in the 2023 election. 2 riders to that story. NEF urges further dialogue on tax reform bills. The second rider says he wants extensive engagement with critical stakeholders. Saudi Arabia releases 3 Nigerians prosecuted for drug offense. It's on almost all the papers this morning. Then this one says FCT police rescue abandoned day-old baby. Arrest mother abandoning a child. What can you say is responsible for that? After 9 months, then you're dumping your child, you're abandoning the child. Why not take the child to a place where the child can be rehabilitated or probably taken care of? You can take the child to the federal government, the state government, or even to an orphanage, as the case may be, instead of abandoning the child. What if the child passed? This is not a good one. I think FCT police have done a good job, by arresting the mother of this baby. Finally, from the Blueprint newspaper, railway project gets 41.49 billion naira in 2025 budget. That's coming from the federal government. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the National Daily this morning. We'll go on a quick break to make way for the AM News. After the AM News, we'll return for the first conversation on Global Morning today. Stay with us. We will be back after the AM News.
of USA, Nigeria, and around the world to Global AM News, coming to you on Global Television from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Iconsat. On to the news. President Bola Tinubu will depart Lagos today for Accra, the capital of the Republic of Ghana, to attend the inauguration of President-elect John Dramani Mahama on January 7th. A statement by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says Mahama, who served as the 12th President of Ghana between 2011 and 2017, was re-elected in December 2024 and will succeed President Nana Akufo-Addo. President Tinubu's trip to Accra is at the invitation of the President-elect, who had visited the Nigerian leader earlier in December. The Northern Elders Forum has reiterated its opposition to the federal government's proposed tax reform bills, demanding their immediate suspension and calling for extensive dialogue with stakeholders. The forum criticized the federal government for failing to engage critical stakeholders and experts before drafting the reforms. In a press statement released and signed by its management board chairman, Aminu Dagash, the northern stakeholders outlined the potential adverse effect of the reforms on northern Nigeria and the country as a whole. The federal government has allocated over 7 billion naira to the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria in the 2025 appropriation bill, aimed at revamping the nation's arms production capabilities. Established in 1963 to manufacture weapons locally, the corporation's performance has been repeatedly questioned as Nigeria continues to rely heavily on foreign countries for arms and ammunition. Successive administrations have promised to revitalize the corporation, committing significant funds to boost domestic production of weapons. Acting chairman of the Laity Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria in Katsina State, Amadu Surajo, has been murdered by suspected terrorists. Reports say Surajo was killed during a raid conducted on Meirana village in Kusada local government area late on Saturday night, with 3 others murdered in the attack and some injured. Surajo's wives and daughter were also kidnapped. Surajo was the association's state secretary and promoted to acting chairman after the mysterious disappearance of its former chairman and national vice president Munir Lamido in June last year. Some senior lawyers in the country have disagreed over the prosecution of judges who were recently recommended for compulsory retirement for falsifying their ages. The National Judicial Council, under the chairmanship of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, in a statement on 15 November, disclosed that 2 heads of the court had been recommended for compulsory retirement over age falsification. The Chief Judge of Imo State High Court, Justice T.E. Chukwuemeka Chikeka, was recommended for compulsory retirement, while the NJC also directed the Grand Kadi of Yobe State, Babagana Madi, who had 3 different dates of birth, this 10th December, 28th January, and July, all in 1959, with the actual date of birth being 1952, to go on compulsory retirement. And still in the news, the commander 211 Quick Response Group of the Nigerian Air Force, Owerri, Air Commodore David Bello, has restated the commitment to the welfare of veterans in Imo State. Bello stated this at the 2024 Base Social Cultural Activities and Chief of Air Staff rally organized by the Nigerian Air Force in Owerri, the state capital. The commander, who thanked the veterans for their years of dedicated service to Nigeria, assured them of continued protection and cooperation. In the meantime, the Nigerian Air Force says it has acquired 12 additional fighter aircraft to boost the operational capabilities of the force. The new additions to the fleet include 2 King Air 360I light transport aircraft, 4 Tu-129 ATAK helicopters, 2 Augusta Westland 109 Trecas, and 4 DA-62 surveillance aircraft. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar stated this during a parley with veterans resident in Kaduna, stating that the Nigerian Air Force is poised to take delivery of 24 M346 fighter aircraft and 10 additional Augusta Westland 109 Trekker helicopters from Italy. Governor of Enugu State Peter Mbah and his Anambra State counterpart Professor Charles Soludo have praised President Bola Tinubu for his commitment to the development of the Southeast region. Following his official visit to Enugu State, Tinubu's visit, they said, underscored his administration's focus on regional development. During the visit, the president commissioned several projects executed by Mbah, including smart green schools, rural roads, and 150 patrol vehicles fitted with AI-embedded surveillance cameras, as well as Type 2 primary healthcare centers, part of the ongoing construction of 260 such centers across the state's wards. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu says his administration will complete the Eastern Rail Line connecting Port Harcourt in the oil-rich Niger Delta to Maiduguri in northeastern Nigeria. Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onaniga, revealed this in a statement that the President gave the assurance during an interactive session with Southeast leaders during his official visit to Enugu State. The Eastern Rail Line project aims to reconstruct and expand the existing narrow gauge railway connecting Port Harcourt and Maiduguri. The process of appointing officials to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has come under scrutiny, with stakeholders urging reforms to safeguard Nigeria's electoral integrity. The call for change is one of the 142 recommendations derived from post-elections reviews and stakeholders' engagement documented by the electoral body. The stakeholders include civil society organizations, transport unions, media executives, and political parties, amongst others. Respected Nigerian pastor and gospel minister Nathaniel Bassey has been invited to minister at the presidential inaugural prayer breakfast of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on January 28, 2025 in Washington, D.C. The event, a non-governmental and non-political gathering, will be hosted by Reverend Mary Turner ahead of the swearing-in ceremony of the President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. The renowned gospel artist from Akwa Ibom is no stranger to the United States, as in 2024, the mayor of Albany, New York, declared October 6 as Pastor Nathaniel Bassey Day in the city. And still in the news, Kogi State Governor Ahmed Ododo has ordered an immediate crackdown on the attackers responsible for the killing of 2 farmers on Friday in Odo Akpe community in Kaba, the new local government areas of the state. Ododo issued the directive in a statement signed by the State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fawo, and shared with journalists in Lokoja. The governor stated that he had instructed the State Security Advisor Jerry Omodara to collaborate with security agencies and local vigilante groups to ensure the perpetrators are apprehended and brought to justice. President Bola Tinubu has paid an official visit to the Oba of Lagos, Oba Ruwan Akerelu, at his palace a site rich in culture and tradition. In a statement shared on X by the president, he praised the virtues of the traditional institutions and their leaders, noting that traditional institutions play vital roles in shaping the society. President Tinubu disclosed that during the visit, they discussed the role of traditional institutions play in shaping the society and how they can improve on their role as partners in governance and development, emphasizing the importance of leveraging traditional values in building a cohesive society that promotes prosperity for all citizens. The police command in Jigawa has confirmed 9 persons dead and 4 others injured in a communal crash that occurred in the state. The police public relations officer in the state, DSP Lawal Shishu, confirmed the incident in a statement issued to Newsway in Dutse, stating that the incident occurred at the Golemi village in Liga local government area. He explained that the incident occurred after residents of the village discovered that the shop in the area was broken and goods looted by unknown persons. Imo State Governor Senator Hope Uzodinma and his wife, Chairman Uzodinma, have celebrated a decade of marital bliss. The special occasion took place at the Government House Chapel in Owerri, Imo State capital, with a holy mass presided over by the auxiliary bishop of Olu Diocese. In attendance were senators, governors, and other dignitaries who came to honor the couple. Global Television Imo State correspondent Amarachi Ibe reports from Owerri.
It was a moment of joy and thanksgiving as the governor and his wife celebrate the occasion in an atmosphere of love and gratitude. In his sermon, the bishop emphasized the importance of love, unity and faith in sustaining a successful marriage.
But if I have a child, I tell him that child, you are bad, you are bad, you are bad. Yeah, but then he sees, okay, since mom says I'm bad, let me be bad. About that child. If you tell that child, you are going to do well, you will do well, you do well, you do well, then that will spur him or her up to do something better. We can change our story about our people.
Governor Uzodinma expressed gratitude to God for the gift of his wife and the journey of their union, thanking the guests for their presence and support.
Marriage is not easy. The Bible telling us, wife, respect your husband. Husband, love your wife. It's very easy to say, but it's not very easy to keep. But in my own, today, my wife can testify. I've done my best to keep to this biblical.
Lagos State Governor Senator Adams Oshiomhole spoke on behalf of the governors and senators present at the event.
I can clearly see that it's been a happy journey, a one that truly God has blessed, God has endowed, and we're grateful that we're witnessing, or we have witnessed today's event.
I think Governor Hope, NNPC need people like you as maintenance officers so that their turnaround maintenance will not be on and off. You will be sustained, continuous, and renewed. Because everybody who saw you in the church, and even now, Madam, my brother did try.
The celebration was marked by the cutting of the anniversary wedding cake, music from different artists, and other performances that graced the couple's exemplary marital life.
Can I have O?
O.
A V?
V.
And E?
Governor Uzodinma's 10th wedding anniversary serves as a testament to the enduring power of love and unity. As families, friends and well-wishers celebrate this milestone with them, it also highlights the importance of strong family values in leadership. From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching live broadcast of Global AM News coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. When Global AM News returns, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to sanction more airlines over consumer complaints. We shall bring you those details as well as foreign and sports stories right after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. In business, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has disclosed plans to sanction more airlines for infractions related to consumer protection. This development follows recent enforcement actions taken against several carriers for unresolved complaints and non-compliance with regulatory directives. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at the agency, Michael Achimogu, confirmed that further sanctions are imminent, stating that many airlines have begun responding to the sanctions. Oil marketers under the auspices of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria have charged the federal government to privatize government-owned refineries, encourage competition, enhance transparency and accountability, and invest in infrastructure to improve operations in the downstream sector of the petroleum industry. They specifically asked for the privatization of the 125,000 barrels per day Warri and Kaduna refineries. The marketers also called on the government to enforce local content development, enhance the effectiveness of compressed natural gas in 2025, and tackle petroleum product smuggling. The traders further asked the government to put first access to crude oil and provide an 100 billion naira grant to rescue 10,000 businesses affected by subsidy removal. There are significant indications that prices of premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, may crash further this year. Experts noted that petrol, which currently sells for between 900 naira and 950 naira at many fuel stations across the country, may have its price further crashing to as low as 500 naira a litre in the course of 2025. Stakeholders say the likely drop in prices of petrol in 2025 is premised on the strong downstream sector prepared by the deregulation policy of the federal government. Industry players believe other reasons for the price drop include stable foreign exchange policy, price competition, naira for crude policy, and the coming on stream of the Port Harcourt, Warri and Dangote refineries. Meanwhile, Borno State Governor Babajide Zulum says the state government will subsidize the cost of petrol to farmers in communities affected by insurgency. Zulum announced the subsidy in Bama town when he flagged off the distribution of farm inputs to over 5,000 farmers hitherto displaced by Boko Haram insurgents. According to the governor, a litre of petrol sold between 1,000 and 1,200 naira in Maiduguri will be subsidized to the farmers at 600 naira per litre. The federal government has allocated 132 billion naira to support farmers and farming activities in 2025. This allocation, disclosed in the 2025 Preparation Bill, forms part of the broader plan under the National Agricultural Development Fund aimed at tackling poverty, low productivity, and limited access to resources, which have long hindered agricultural growth in Nigeria. The fund, signed by former President Muhammadu Buhari in October 2022, is established to drive agricultural development and serves as a criteria and critical vehicle for financial support and policy implementation. The Central Bank of Nigeria has again clarified that the 1,000 staff members who opted out of service in December 2024 were not forced to quit their jobs. The CBN Governor Olayemi Kanaso stated this in Abuja at an investigative hearing of the House of Representatives ad hoc committee probing the circumstances leading to the exit of the staff members and how the sum of 50 billion naira severance package for the affected persons was arrived at. Kanaso, represented by the Deputy Director of Corporate Service of the CBN, Bala Bello, added that the affected persons opted to disengage through the voluntary early exit program with payment of full benefits. And moving to the foreign thing. Rebel forces backed by Rwanda have reportedly captured the town of Masisi in the east Democratic Republic of Congo, becoming the second town seized by the M23 group in as many days in the mineral-rich North Kivu province. The group has also taken control of the vast waters of eastern DR Congo since 2021, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes. Angola has been attempting to mediate talks between President Felix Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame, efforts that broke down last month. Local authorities have reported a fire at the vegetable market in North China killed 8 people and injured 15. Kwazi District People's Government said after the blaze in Jiangsu City, northwest of Beijing, the injured have been taken to hospital for treatment and are currently not in life-threatening danger. The district government added that the fire at the Leguan market broke out around 8:40 a.m. local time and was extinguished after 10 a.m., although the cause of the blaze is under investigation. Russia has announced that its air defense systems intercepted 8 United States-supplied Army tactical missile system and 72 drones. These missiles, known for their 300 kilometers range, were authorized for Ukrainian use by the outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden last year, a decision the Kremlin described as a significant escalation. The Russian Defense Ministry also reported capturing the village of Nadia in Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region, one of the few remaining areas under Kiev's control in that region. Former president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Amaju Pinnick, has addressed the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the coaching situation of the Super Eagles, stating that a managerial announcement is imminent. The Super Eagles have been without a permanent manager since June 2024, following the resignation of Philippe George, who stepped down after failing to secure a victory in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against South Africa and the cheaters of Benin Republic. In the aftermath of his resignation, the federation attempted to appoint German coach Bruno Labbadia to lead the team for the 2025 AFCON qualifiers. Inter Miami talisman Lionel Messi failed to attend a ceremony at the White House on Sunday, where he was scheduled to receive his Presidential Medal of Freedom. The recognition, which is America's highest civilian honor, saw Hollywood icons Denzel Washington and Michael J. Fox receive their medals. A statement issued on Messi's behalf says the White House informed FIFA, which notified the club at the end of December, that Messi was to be awarded the recognition. The time, however, blamed his absence on scheduling error. And that's how we come to wrap on the Global AM News. I am Anthony Momodu. Good morning.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Welcome back from the AM News. It is still Global Morning, live and direct from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nigeria. It's so good that you are still there. That's one of the best things you've done today, because being part of Global Morning today help you set the pace for the day. We help you get your day started on a very beautiful note. Now to the first conversation, like I said before we went on break for the AM News. Kaduna politics. Have you heard about the fact that a senator can actually be recalled by his constituency? But then, this is something that a lot of people don't know in Nigeria. In Kaduna State, there is a recall politics going on in Kaduna State. Sometimes in politics, you will feel, why is it that some persons praise politicians and the other people are never contented, never satisfied with whatever the politician does? This is a question that a lot of Nigerians ask often time. But when a particular situation, a query is coming from the elders, then you know that something is wrong. We are not trying to say the elders are so perfect, but because this is politics we're talking about here. Today we want to look at Kaduna politics. Senator Usman faces recall demand, and there is a reason why he's feeling recall demand, because they felt there is a failure on his part from the Kaduna central area. Let's look at that. I'll have my guest join me in the studio as we talk about this topic today. He is, of course, a public affairs analyst, and he's going to be joining me via Zoom from Abuja here today as we look at the Kaduna politics and, of course, the senator's recall. Joining me on the program is an expert, a public affairs analyst in the person of Abdulrahman Abu Hamisu. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning, Hamisu.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's so good that we want to talk about this today, because a lot of people are wondering, Nigerians, you know, on seeing this story, some people are like, it's not possible. As soon as a politician gets into the office, that is all. There is nothing more that can be done. But then, in this situation, a recall is being made. But we need to establish the fact that recall is possible. A lot of people don't know. I think my expert is going to be talking about that more. Okay, let me get to you again. Hamisu, can you hear me from there? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Kaduna politics. Senator Usman faces recall demand. Do you know that a lot of Nigerians don't know that there is anything like recall? Please, can you throw more light on what a recall is? What does it mean to recall a sitting senator?
Well, good morning, Nigerians. Recall is a political instrument of control that has been enshrined in the Constitution, and it is meant to correct whatever the people feel is not really working well with their representatives. For instance, when you vote somebody into House of Reps, or say Senate, or State House of Assembly, and the person is supposed to carry the mandate of the people, to represent the interests of the people and to work for the people, and that the person failed to deliver. Recall is a process that is recognized by the Constitution to say, look, we, the people, voted this person into office, and we feel that this person is not living up to expectation. For that reason, we want to recall him so that the seat can be vacant again, and then we can vote in the person that we feel will represent our interests and our mandate. So the Constitution allows that. All you need to do, the processes are there as spelled out by INEC. You just need to walk into INEC. You can even Google on your phone, go to INEC website, and then you could see the processes that are required in terms of what needs to be done. So the best bet is for you to walk into INEC office and then ask the INEC officials to really give you the process for INEC, and then by the time you write to INEC, then the process can begin. But there must be, I think, as at the last time I know, the third majority of the people that voted for the reps or the senator in that one particular constituency or senatorial zone would have indicated interest that they want the person recalled, and then a date will be set for the same persons to come and cast their ballot as to decide whether the person will remain in the House or in the Senate or not. So it's a constitutional process of ensuring that whenever the people are dissatisfied with their representative, they can recall the person. By recall, it simply means you are no longer voting the person into House of Reps or into Senate. You are asking the person to return back to come and join you people in your constituency or in your senatorial zone. So this is what recall is all about.
All right, thank you very much. I think a lot of Nigerians are getting to know this probably for the first time because they feel if anyone gets there, that's all. Especially for political office holders, the senators, the House of Rep, even when constituency projects are not going on. Then let's quickly look at this. This is coming from elders. Kaduna Elders Forum are the ones actually moving for this motion, for this recall. Now, how would you react to the recall demand by the Kaduna Elders, and what steps do you think will you take to address the concern? They are talking about failure here. So how would you react to that?
You see, I have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with that. You know, this is democracy. Anybody could propose anything. What is left is for them to be able to pull it through. I want to assure you that it's not an easy task. There was a time, I think, during Obasanjo's last presidency between 2003 and 2007, and there were issues arising from the clash between the president then and his vice president in the person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and Senator former Minister of Education, Senator Jibril, was to be recalled. And then the Atiku's people went to work, and they were so sure that we were going to recall him. And at the end of the day, the recall process fell flat on the ground. It didn't work. You know, it didn't work back then because the voter register was something else. Elections were rigged during that very particular period. So what it was required was the same persons that voted him into office should vote him out. And the Atiku camp had a significant challenge. And the challenge they had was they could not get voter register that is authentic, that is bearing the names of the people in the senatorial zone. And that really caused a lot of problem, and we never heard anything about the recall. We could say that the recall process could be possible now because we have a clean voter register, and then we have a voter's card tied to the voter register, tied to each name that is on the voter register. So if it is the people from his constituency that are demanding for his sack because he's not performing, then fine and good. But if the guy is performing and his people loves him, and one elders forum arrogating to themselves the powers that they not have, what they cannot do, and then they could not even get the required signature that will start the process because the guy is suddenly on ground, is really working for his people, and because some elders forums members that are coming from all over Kaduna felt that the guy is not doing well and they want to remove him from office, I bet you they will end up disgracing themselves because it's about the people. It's about the people that voted the man in the first place. And I used to say it, this is democracy. If the people want God to represent them, that's so be it. If some people want somebody that could not speak English to represent them, fine. If it is somebody that can speak Yoruba and that cannot speak English, they want there, fine. So you must respect people's choice. So you cannot say because you have personal grudges with the person, you think you can rattle the person by going to the press to say that you want to get the person out of the Senate or out of House of Reps. You are just wasting your time because the process is the process. Nobody will circumvent the process because you are an elder. So if you think you've got the numbers and you've got the people's back and then you could get this person out of his office, fine and good, you can go and do that. But ultimately, all I'm saying is an Herculean task that do not come with a smile. It requires hard work. So if you feel as Elders Forum, you are popular than the person in question, fine. So you can go ahead. But ordinarily, it is the people from that very particular area that are eligible that could pull it through, not one elder from Zaria zone or from Kachia zone or from Bringingwari zone coming together to say that somebody from Kaduna Metropolis that has been voted by the people must go because maybe you have issues with the person. No, it's not done that way. It's not about the whims and caprices of people. It's about the process.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's get to the activities of people in governance, political office holders now, specifically the House of Rep members, the senators, and even the State Assembly members. You know, in Nigeria, there is this complaint that these people, majority of them, don't meet up the expectation of the people in their constituency. What is your holistic assessment of House of Rep, senators, and State House of Assembly members in Nigeria? What's your assessment of them as it has to do with governance?
You see, you are quite correct, but in every case there are always exceptions, because we've seen senators that have been returned by their people more than 5 times. We've seen House of Rep members that have been returned by their people more than 5 times in this democracy. And we've seen those that will go to their people to steal the mandate and use talks to destabilize the place, and then they come to Abuja and say they've won election, that their people voted them into office. Basically, the work of a legislator is 2. One is lawmaking. The second one is oversight function. In the case of Nigeria, our legislators are not found wanting in terms of making laws. They are found wanting in terms of oversight function. And now there is a third function that they've created, for which is why most of them have lost legitimacy. They earn no respect from their people. What is not their work, they've decided to make it their work. And that is even taking a toll on their public image. And by that, I mean constituency projects that they insert in the budget, and they collect money and they go and do some funny things in the name of a constituency project, where you find a project that is not worth 20,000, and then they will reel out millions as the amount they've spent. So this is why Nigerians do not really take them seriously, because the most important function they are supposed to perform is the oversight function, by asking questions. We budgeted 5 billion to fix the road between say Lagos and Ibadan. So what is happening on that road? Are they complying? If they are not complying, there should be sanctions. Now, they are not doing that work, because at the end of it all, they are equally involved. The constituency projects, they are supposed to equally deliver to the people. It's not their responsibility, it's the responsibility of the executive. They hijack it and they are not doing anything. And then they collect humongous monies that are meant to develop their constituencies, they are not doing it. And then the people dare not to ask. And then Nigerians are too beaten by poverty to the extent that they don't even know their constitutional right, that they can recall their senators, they can recall their House of Rep members, they can recall their State House of Assembly members. So at the end of it all, they always wait until 4 years, and then these senators, these House of Rep members, the money they get from their constituency project, they come and bribe the people by giving them salt, Maggi, money, and so on and so forth. And that is why the crime of vote buying is increasing by the day in Nigeria. So elections have been turned into transactional thing between the electorates and the candidates. So it's a pathetic situation. But then, if I did mean our legislators are working, I bet you, my brother, our public institutions will work. Because by the time they call you for a public hearing and you are not able to justify your actions within the context of the law or the appropriation bill, then you are fired. Tomorrow, if somebody else is coming there for the fact that Abdurrahman was fired for misbehaving, for not compliance, then the next person will try to comply. But not that. By the time they go for public hearing, they will tell you, gentlemen of the press, we want to go into a closed door. And at the end of it all, they come out smiling when you are expecting that somebody should be weeping, and the person is smiling. Then they are taking Nigerians for a ride, and this is exactly what is happening.
All right. You said something just now about Nigerians. Some constituencies, some senators have been returned once, not twice. Then, does it mean they've done very well for the constituency, or because of this belief, there is this belief in Nigeria that it is not easy to unseat a politician who is already in power? Then that's one. Then secondly, is there, apart from recall, is there any way the people can keep these representatives on their toes while in the house? Oh, all right. We're looking at politics in Kaduna State, where the elders, Kaduna State elders, have actually make proposals to recall a sitting senator. And of course, my guests have already established the foundation where he was trying to let us know what it means, okay, to recall a sitting senator or a House of Rep member. Not just that, even people who are representing the various local governments at the state assembly. You can actually recall, all right, that's to call. When we say recall, is to call the person back from the National Assembly to say, well, you're not representing us well. It's time for you to return back. Let's take someone who can represent us to the National Assembly. But there are processes to it. And one of the things that we have really discovered is the process. How tedious is the process? Nigerians are actually saying these things are really good. It is a process, a means to an end. But then, how good and how easy is it? So let me get back to my guest. My guest was actually trying to make a point. I was asking a question before there was that little disconnection. He's back. Hamisu, it's good to have you back. Can you go ahead with the question? I don't know if you heard me.
Okay, if I get you clearly, you see, even before you can rig an election, your people must like you. They must be able to give you some vote before you can rig, else it becomes a violent thing. So persons that are able to come back are persons that Nigerians will tell you, especially in their constraints, that the person is hardworking. What they mean by hardworking is the person that usually come to their aid. They have barriers. You go and donate money. Your wife gave birth, you come to their rescue. Naming ceremonies, child's dedication, so on and so forth. And Nigerians love those that used to grease their palm. So they will tell you that the senator or the House of Reps member or the State House of Assembly member is really hardworking. There are some of them that have institutionalized scholarship. And these scholarships are benefiting the younger generation. And the younger generation are the bulk of persons that usually vote during elections. So they are able to connect with their people. They know what their people want. They will have a lot of them. I know of somebody, late Abba Ibrahim from Yobe State. He's a down-to-earth gentleman. He's known in his senatorial zone. Each time he contests election, Abba Ibrahim was going to win because he lives like the people and he speaks the language of the people. There are a host of them like that. And there are a host of them that used to return to the National Assembly by terrorizing the people. They go with their talks and they shoot themselves through the ballot, and they come to the National Assembly and they continue to do that because they've overpowered the people. No, this is not the set of people I'm referring to. I'm referring to those that shares the aspirations of their people, that shares the plight of their people, and the people trust them, and they've returned them to the Senate for so many times. Late Senator Sodengi is one of them from Nasarawa State. For many years, he was coming to the National Assembly. Ehidura is one of those people that consistently, as a House of Reps member, was in the National Assembly. And so we have a host of them that were there for a very long time, not because they used to shoot themselves through the ballot by using talks, but because they connect with their people and the people always vote them back to represent them. But what I'm saying is there are those of them that are dormant, there are some of them that are selfish. By the time you send them to Abuja, all they do is to run after contract. They don't care what their people are going through. Those are the kind of people that the people need to recall. But people are so beaten by hunger that they don't even know that the Constitution empowers them to call somebody back from the National Assembly or from the State House of Assembly. So they simply allow the person to remain there, and then Nigerians will convince themselves that even though if you say you want to recall them now, they will not agree. The party will stand by him. No party is greater than the people. It's because we are belittling ourselves, we are belittling our capacity and the power of our collective votes and consciousness. So, lastly, when you reduce representation to your representative supporting you to bury your late grandfather, your father, your mother, or to support you for your child dedication or naming ceremony, then there is a problem. There will be no development in the senatorial zone or in the constituency or whatever make up the constituency of the person in question. So we must be able to shift our focus from personal gains and benefit to the collective benefit of the people. Anybody that is not giving health care, remove the person. Simply go to INEC. INEC will give you the process and procedure. The way you mobilize to vote the person, mobilize to recall the person, as simple as that. By the time we start recalling them, they will not come to Abuja and abandon their people or start changing the contract for the benefit of their immediate families and cronies.
All right, thank you very much. That has been the voice of my guest. Well, let me ask this. A senator that is being recalled, or maybe that the process is ongoing, does it have any right to do anything to stop the process? Then secondly, does the federal government have any right to interfere, okay, when there is a complaint about maybe allocations not being used judiciously, apart from the recall process?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, the person has no right to stop the recall process because it's a constitutional requirement and is backed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the people have the right to recall. And the people have the right to recall their representative or their senator. It is a constitutional right, but you know, Nigeria, we are Nigerians, and we'll continue to be Nigerians because we have a way of obstructing the process from working. And because we have a way from obstructing the process from working, we can always run to the court. But the court can do little or nothing. Not even the federal government of Nigeria can do anything. The only organization that is responsible and constitutionally mandated to do that is INEC. I want to recall our people, INEC is to make arrangement to facilitate it, not to even influence it. So we want to recall your people, okay, this is all you need to do. On Saturday, come and cast your ballot, but your ballot must be up to, say, to 3% to ensure that you recall the person. Else, you cannot recall the person. So that is just it. So nobody can go to court and stop the constitutional process that has been granted. If there is illegality in the process, the person can approach the court to say there is illegality. But to say that you want to stop the process, you can't stop the process because that is another control. It's just like when you have a car and you have a wheel, the wheel is what you use to control the car. If you remove the wheel, then you cannot control the car. So, and recall is a wheel that is used to reset people's brain, to make you understand that what you think you can do, others can do it, and they can do it better. So you're not the only person that can occupy that position.
All right. We want to look at the immunity of people in governance right now, including senators and House of Rep members. We've had situations in the past where we hear things like, okay, this person has been assaulted by someone in authority, maybe a House of Rep member or a politician. And at the end of the day, you discover that nothing happens, not once, not twice. What informed this kind of action? Is it because of the immunity? And what do you think the authorities should do about it? Or it is something that nothing can be done about it? If you want to talk about going to court, these people, the people involved, the average Nigerians who are involved in these incidences may not have the wherewithal to actually take this case up in the court of law and know how it is with the big and mighties in the society as far as Nigeria is concerned. So what's your take about this situation?
You see, because you are an honorable member of House of Reps, or because you are a senator, does not give you the right to assault any Nigeria. You are just an ordinary Nigerian that is choosing to represent the people, and the behavior that is expected of you is a behavior that dignifies the office that you are representing, the people you are representing. So for you to have done that simply means that you cannot lead. It's a sign of impunity. Nothing gives you the right, not even as the president of Nigeria. You don't have the right to assault anybody. So if you assault anybody, you should know that you've committed a crime that is punishable by law. But it's just unfortunate that in Nigeria, our laws respect big men. You know why? Because they feel that they are untouchable and that they can do anything and get away with it freely. And this is the crux of the matter. I remember there was this honorable member that assaulted a boat driver or Uber driver sometimes back. It took collective interventions of Nigerians to get him to apologize and to make up with the guy. So what we're saying is, if a big man, and that is exactly what is happening today, if a big man should assault anybody because the person is poor and does not have the capacity to go to court, the person simply goes away with it freely. And then the person feels that nothing will happen and he will do it next time. But if collectively we want to stop it, we can stop it. And that is exactly what Nigerians have been doing. And I praise Nigerians for doing that because the solidarity is growing. When a rich man assaults you and they know that you don't have money to take it to court, you equally have some lawyers that will come to your aid, that will volunteer to assist. Though the process is slow, but then we have to hold them accountable. For the fact that I volunteer to stay back to send you to Abuja does not make you more superior than me. It just makes me a more humble person than you. And if you know that, then you have to protect people's interests and dignity. You can't just come and assault people simply because you have Mopol that are guarding you. You can just order the beating of anybody because you feel you are Pharaoh of our time. No, it won't be possible, and we will not take it.
Okay, before I let you go, because our time is already running out, let's talk about the fact that sometimes, if you look at it very well, showing the activities of these people in governance, from the presidency to the House of Rep to the senators and every other person, you will discover something. And that's the fact that the people at the grassroots, you said something very vital just now, that the people at the grassroots will always vote for these people in governance because of maybe association or one or two things that they've done for them. Can we say that the people at the grassroots, the average Nigerians, the people at the constituency, also contribute to the negative activities of some of these people in governance due to their behavior of collecting stipends and maybe compromising in some situations?
Yes, in fact, the first problem we have in this country is the failure of the people at the grassroots to understand that their representatives are not their ATM, and that their representatives are their representative because they ought to represent them at various levels to ensure that they are represented when they are planning for the overall development of the country. Unfortunately, in the grassroots, we see politicians as big men, and big men that have deep pockets, and you can always go to them to give you money, and then the basis for assessing whether they are good or bad is not the amount of hospitals they are able to facilitate to their constituencies. It's not the amount of roads. It's not the amount of scholarship. It's the amount of people you've reached in terms of sponsoring barriers or naming ceremonies or so those mundane things. And these mundane things are personal that everybody is supposed to be responsible for. It is a communal thing. If your House of Reps member is willing to assist, so be it. If it's not willing, so be it. But in our own climate here, they feel that anybody that is aspiring to any public office, the person is loaded, and the person is supposed to be loaded with problems. And then these persons will go out of their way in their attempt to satisfy their constituency to even dip their hands into the purse of the local government area or the state or the federal ministry or agencies. And that is why even those that are corrupt are those that are being given chieftaincy title today. If you steal so much and you are being prosecuted by EFCC, All you need to do is just to go back to your village, and then you are turban the next day as the magajingeri of whatever land or ecosystem one of one land or the other. So there is a direct connection between corruption in public offices and the demand from the grassroots. If our people will learn to manage their expectations and understand their barriers, naming ceremonies, personal things, there are communal things that the community can support and the person in office can support, that be it. But when you make it the basis for assessing somebody to say the person is performing or not, the amount of barriers you are able to attend and donate money, the amount of public lunch you attend. So, and that is why in other places you will not see all of this rubbish. It's only in Africa, especially in Nigeria, that as a senator, somebody will come and tell you, my wife gave birth. God gave you 9 months to prepare for the birth of your child, and you fail to prepare, and then you are going to meet your rep, to your senator, to give you money, and then you say you are not voting the person because he's not giving you money. I think that will be shooting ourselves in the foot.
All right, thank you very much. So finally, before I let you go, in conclusion, what would be your advice to both the elders of Kaduna State and of course the senator? Because this recall demand is coming because they said there is a failure. All right, so now what would be your advice to the elders and also to the senator as we conclude?
You see, Kaduna State has had enough of crisis, from ethno-religious conflict to banditry and so on and so forth. And in terms of problem solving, you cannot be creating problems when you are supposed to solve problems. If the recall is to be done in the interest of the people, fine. Let the elders collaborate with the people to get the person out of the system. But if they are doing it as a result of vendetta, I can assure you that will lead to breach of peace in Kaduna State, but not peace and development. So my word to them should be caution, caution, caution. It all depends on who they are working for, whether they are working for the people or they are working for themselves.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much for joining us on the first conversation on Global Morning today, Hamisu. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's the size of the first conversation on Global Morning today. We've talked about the Kaduna politics and, of course, the recall of the senator representing Kaduna Central by the Kaduna elders. For what purpose are they recalling him? Is it that there is an undertone to the recall, or it is for the general interest of the people of Kaduna State? Like my guests have said, a lot of controversies, insecurity, banditry, and kidnapping in Kaduna State recently, religious crisis, and what have you. So I think it's better for us to put all hands on deck to ensure there is peace in Kaduna State, and any senator who is not representing the people, not just in Kaduna State, all senators at the National Assembly and those at the House of Rep, the representatives, should try their possible best to make sure they do the needful. The hardship in the country is so unbearable. So it is now time for all of us to contribute to nation building and assist one another. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return for the second conversation, and we will be looking at the petroleum sector. So much happening in the petroleum sector. Recently, we heard about refineries coming up, and so many other matters arising. We'll be looking at that as my guest will join me in the studio after this break. Stay with us. As a matter of fact, one of the industries that a lot of people look at is the petroleum industry. Why would Nigerians want to focus on that industry most times? This is because whatever happens with the refineries, with the petroleum, with fuel, with PMS, with the gas, have a serious role to play in the lives of Nigerians everywhere. You can, let me just take us back a little bit. Let's take a walk down memory lane. You remember what happened when the price of fuel skyrocketed to 1,000 plus? Well, the story should be for another day because this is what everyone went through. After subsidy removal, we all knew what happens. But now, coming into 2025, a whole lot happening. And people have been reacting to it. Nigerians have been saying so much. So today, the second conversation is taken up immediately, and I have my guest join me in the studio as we talk about government being urged on refinery privatization and CNG investing in CNG. You could remember the president had made a statement sometimes back when there was a lot of problem in the petroleum industry as it has to do with pricing, that if you can't afford the petroleum for 1,000 plus, at the CNG should be affordable, because as at then it was going for as low as 200 naira. Now, let's look at the petroleum industry, as government is being urged by marketers to privatize refineries and also invest in CNG. Joining me in the studio today is an elder statesman, Dr. Bartholomew Agbechenu. He's an elder statesman and a political analyst. It's good to have you in the studio joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's quickly look at the petroleum industry. Everybody in Nigeria knows what is happening. Then, before we look at the petroleum industry, what is your thought as far as privatization is concerned in Nigeria?
Privatization of the petroleum industry in Nigeria, if it is done in good spirit, it's a welcome development. But Ramsey, you would know that Nigeria, you know what happens in Nigeria takes a whole lot to be able to diagnose into the minds of people at the helms of affairs. Privatizing the petroleum industry, when it is done on the lips, and when it comes to practical reality, you begin to see that something else is happening in Nigeria. If the government goes on to privatize the petroleum industry, and the minute and their hands are completely off, why not? Why not? If their hands are completely off to the individual business entrepreneur in the petroleum industry, why not? But you see, many of times than none, when Nigerians say privatization, they mean a different thing entirely. You could imagine that probably when they say privatization, it is then that the government knows how to pick into what is happening in the private sector. So Ramsey, I am behind privatization of the petroleum industry if the government really means what they are all out to do.
Let's just do an assessment of privatizations that has been done in the past. We've had privatizations in Nigeria before now. Is there any privatization that has been done in the past, like the defunct NEPA, which is now BHCN, and other sectors that have been privatized before? What's your assessment of it? Because people feel if it's in the hand of individuals, it's better, whether the people who are managing it are known by the government or not. Your general overview of privatization in Nigeria previously, apart from the one that is being proposed right now for the petroleum industry, the refineries.
I have already said it. Nigeria, those are the helms of government in Nigeria. When they say something, they mean another thing entirely. From our experiences, if not if privatization of a sector is being pronounced, and all hands are on the deck to make sure that the private owners of businesses are given the hands to operate freely without government incursions. Why not? Like, let's take a look at the electoral sector. They say independent National Electoral Commission. Is the Electoral Commission in Nigeria really independent? Is it really independent? It is a fact clear before every Tom, Dick and Harry that the electoral activities in Nigeria is not independent. And that snoops to every other sector in Nigeria. When they say a sector is privatized, the government peeps into it. The government snoops into it. They don't give the free hand for people who are business mongoose to play the game according to the rule. Also, you asking question as to whether sectors that have been privatized are really running through the privatization process as it should be. I give you an example of INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission. This electoral commission independent in Nigeria, everybody, even children that are yet unborn, they know that the electoral practices in Nigeria are not independent. So Ramsey, what actually I am saying, if Nigerians, those at the helms of affairs in Nigeria, if they mean what they say, why not? Privatization is the better way to go. It's the better way to go. But if they wouldn't mean it, let them just allow us be by coming to belabor us with high-sounding words, high privatization. You say it and you don't mean it. That can make some high blood pressure to begin to heighten, and that will not be good for her health.
Oh, all right, let's come back to the petroleum industry now, looking at our refineries. I think Port Harcourt refinery is up and doing, even though the production is not as much as expected. Recently, we heard that the Warri refinery, it's also coming up to an extent, just a minimal percentage, still contributing to what Nigerians are really clamoring for. Now, let's look at it from this perspective. Dangote refinery is a private-owned refinery and that of the government. Do you think these two refineries, do you think they have come to stay? Do you see it as a welcome development? Do you see it as refineries that can compete with that of Dangote to make Nigerians have petroleum, okay, at a very minimal price? We heard it's actually a speculation that if these refineries start working, we may have to buy fuel for as low as 500 naira. So what's your thoughts about these refineries?
It will be a welcome development if Nigerians are honest with themselves. The problems we have in Nigeria is not making policies, but when policies are made, let it be ensured that they are followed up to the fulfillment point. The Port Harcourt refineries and the Warri refineries, those that are working inside, if they could learn to be honest with themselves in several strata of life and operations and hierarchies of operation in the Nigerian practicing system, you notice that when anybody gets into a public operation, a public affair, a public institution, the person tries to privatize it. Hello? When a person gets into a public sector, many often times than none, they try to privatize the sector. Please permit me, if not if I am permitted, I will begin to mention them in various sectors. The minister, the PAMSEC, the directors in offices, police commissioners, the chief of staffs in the military, just take a diagnosis into the way they operate. Do they operate within the ambit of the law? Many oftentimes than not, before you get anything from any of these sectors, you may need to fraternize with the people that are at the helm of affairs. Even it gets down to the judicial system. It gets so far to the judicial system, to the extent that if you have a case in court and you are able to get into an affinity with the judge, the story will be a different thing altogether. So these public refineries, so to say, that are coming up, it depends on the people that are on the helm of affairs there. You see so many people jostling to be at the helms of affairs in these institutions. Why? Because when they are at the helms of affairs, they have so many things within the ambit of their power. They could take decisions that are illegal. They are covered. And they are covered up. So the issue with Nigerians is honesty. Approaching government issues with honesty. So if these refineries that are coming up, the people managing it are honest with themselves and they play the game according to the rule, why not? Sir, you may even discover that Dangote may run into a synergy with the people managing these refineries at the public sector level. Those managing the refineries in Port Harcourt and Warri. It may be unimaginable that Dangote may even run into an agreement with them, do it like this, so that I can fly high. It may be very, very unbelievable, but it can happen in Nigeria.
But don't we have regulatory bodies that should supervise and monitor the process to avert situations like that?
The same venoms act on the regulatory bodies. The same venoms act on the regulatory bodies. Those who would regulate the activities of those at the helms of affairs in these public sectors. Their elbows could still be greased. That is the problem we have in Nigeria. That is the problem we have in Nigeria. The problem we have in Nigeria is honesty. The problem we have in Nigeria is non-patriotism. Non-patriotism. A lot of us will love our pockets more than our nation. If not, what else do we need to make Nigeria great? The only thing we need to make Nigeria great is honesty. The only thing we need to make Nigeria great is patriotism. If we could be patriotic, if we could be honest with ourselves, and those that you say are regulatory bodies, if they could mean it.
The bottom line of everything you're saying here today is, if whatever the government is doing as it has to do with privatization is real, if they are real and real. All right, let's get to privatization. How conducive do you think the economy of Nigeria is for private individuals? We remember what happened when Dangote refinery was coming up, a lot of bottlenecks, Dangote have come to say, well, I'm not the one fixing the price of the product. Then you hear of, some persons came up to say the product coming from Dangote is not original, and so many bottlenecks came up when Dangote refinery was coming up. So now, what is your holistic view and assessment of the Nigeria state for private individuals? How conducive is the environment for private individuals? Because we're talking about privatization here.
Ramsey, I have heard it from the horse's mouth. You have just said it, that when Dangote was coming up, so many people were hitting it from various corners, and he came up to say that I am not the one fixing the price. So if the oil sector, if the petroleum sector has been privatized and Dangote has moved into the bracket, why won't he be the person to fix the price? Why won't he be the person to fix the price if it has been privatized? If the thing he is doing is privatized, he will fix the price. If you would want to get the product from him, go get the product from him. If you feel the price is too high, go to an alternative place where the price is conducive for you. But he came saying he was not the one fixing the price. So where is the privatization syndrome? Where is the privatization syndrome? So this takes us back to what I began to say when we started this discourse, that if Nigerians would mean what they say, if they would mean what they say, also privatizing the petroleum sector is the best way to go, if and only if we mean what we say and we say what we mean.
All right, let's look at the CNG now, because it is marketers that are actually urging the federal government, asking the federal government to privatize these refineries and also invest in CNG. What's your thought about CNG? We've heard about an explosion in some parts of the country. First of all, in Edo State. Then recently, we also heard about an explosion, I think somewhere in Benue State also, where a Reverend Father's car exploded and it caught fire. I saw the pictures on social media. Now, the president has promised that there are going to be CNG buses rolled out as part of in a bid to cushion the effect of the policy that came up, the subsidy removal and all of that. What is your perspective of the CNG, compressed natural gas?
In the first instance, you would ask yourself this question: why would the federal government go for the CNG? When somebody has two hands, one hand is open and the other one is closed, and the person that is facing say, okay, why is the other one closed? Then the person will begin to tell him, yeah, I just closed it, but there is nothing inside. If you just closed it, but there is nothing inside, open it the way the other one is open. And you say you're not opening it. You know, compressed natural gas is a product of petroleum, is a product of crude oil, is a product of crude oil. Why is the federal government coming to set the eyes of so many people on CNG and dissuading people from the use of PMS?
Maybe because of affordability, maybe because the president said it.
You know, all these things, the compressed natural gas is a product of petroleum. It's a product of petroleum. Just like the premium motor spirit, the PMS, is a product of crude oil. Kerosene is a product of crude oil. Diesel is a product of crude oil. All these are coming from the crude. Why would you set the eyes of people on a particular fraction and dissuading people from the other fractions. Any intelligent individual would sit down and begin to regurgitate and begin to think over and over again. There have been some ripple effects of this CNG coming from nooks and crannies. So many people using it. In the first instance, if you have a car that was not initially prepared for the CNG, you should be very careful. I learned that in converting a car from using the PMS to the CNG, it's just about 1.2 million. There are areas experts do it for 1.5 million. Where will the taxi driver get the 1.5 million to go for the CNG? And this CNG, they are important, most especially for transporters. Hello? If not those that are working in big offices, they can afford the petroleum. Even if you increase the price of the petroleum again, they can afford it. But the CNG issue language will be useful, most especially for those running transportation, like the taxi driver that is looking for 10,000 naira per day or 20,000 naira per day, or if God blesses him at most 50,000 naira per day. He said he should go and bring 1.2 million naira to convert from PMS to CNG. So many people, even if CNG is useful, even if CNG is the better way to go, where will be this money? So this now takes me back, or takes us back to the riddle I gave earlier. You have two hands. One is open, another one is closed. And the person who is closing the other hand say, no, there's nothing inside. If there's nothing inside, open it and let's see. So the government is yet to tell us the stories about CNG. However, it is open for everybody. Everybody can make their choices. As I speak, there are several people that have done the conversion from the PMS to the CNG. Yes, but the ripple effect may not come immediately. Like coal mining in Nigeria has taken the technological dimension and the artisan dimension. There are people who read mining, who have mining factories. They go to site and they mine coal, you see, legally, technologically. And while there are other people, artisans, who go to the field and they do it physically. But I have been made to understand that that is dangerous. Get to the pit to begin to dig out the coal. As you are inhaling the fumes of the coal, the effect may not be on the spot. I have learned that as many as go to drill this coal artisanally, they don't live beyond 25 years. All these young boys, those in the village that should go to the farm, when they see coal, they go to coal pits and begin to dig them. Some of them, as they had been going to the farm, getting to 2,000 naira per day. But when coal came, some could get 15,000 naira per day, 25,000 naira per day. So they felt that was a more lucrative area to go. They go doing it. But as they go doing it physically, artisanally, and they inhale the fumes of this coal, it begins to build up gradually until it reaches the maximum point at the age of 25 years. The age of 25 years you see that you will begin to feel abnormal. So,
all right,
the CNG issue. The government is here to tell us the truth about the CNG. The CNG, the compressed national.
So you're trying to say there are hidden agendas as far as the CNG. All right, let's get back to privatization now as we try to round up, because I think the marketers are the ones even clamoring for this, not the federal government. But then they are urging and asking the federal government because they are the ones that have the right to privatize. But then, looking at Dangote Refinery, if Dangote Refinery is a private refinery, then we have Port Harcourt Refinery as a private refinery, because some persons believed that that refinery is not up and running because the federal government couldn't manage it. If an individual is managing it and it gets privatized and an individual is managing it, then we have a private refinery, which is Dangote Refinery, then Port Harcourt private, then we have Warri private. Don't you think the competition will make the price of this product affordable for the average Nigerians? Because what everyone is concerned about right now is not anything but the average Nigerians, how they are faring.
What you have said is a very good way to go. If Nigeria means what she says and says what she means. You're not saying if Port Harcourt refinery is left in the hands of a private individual, Warri Refinery is left in the hands of a private individual, Dangote Refinery is a private sector, won't there be competition? Yes, it's a good path to travel. If Nigeria means what they say, if Nigerians means what they say. But from our experiences, Nigeria has not always been meaning what they have been saying. They say one thing while they are doing another thing at the undertone.
Do we have instances?
I have mentioned a few. I've mentioned a few, like the Independent National
the INEC, which you said is not independent,
and even this NEPA is on paper that it has been privatized, but when you dig deep, you will see that government's hands are inside controlling the privatization process. Like Dangote that brought its own private refinery, you have borne witness with me that when it matters most and upheavals began to come from every Tom, Dick and Harry, Dangote came up and said that he was not the one who fixed the price. If you were not the one who fixed the price, then you are the owner of the company. Who then?
No, he said even before the refinery started running, he told Nigerians that the federal government were going to set the price. So when the price came and it was that high, people couldn't hold him. But then I think there was a reduction lately. All right, our time is up. We don't have the luxury of time to continue this conversation. We would have loved to continue this conversation looking at the petroleum industry, and as the federal government is being urged to go into privatization of these refineries and invest in CNG. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming on the program this morning.
It's my pleasure.
This is the march we'll be taking on Global Morning today. It's been a very wonderful time. This is the second conversation, and of course tomorrow is going to be another wonderful time again, another edition of Global Morning. Coming up next is going to be the Talk Sport, and after that a lot of other programs will be lined up for you today. So stay on the frequency, don't go anywhere. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Thanks for keeping the date with us. Bye bye for now.
From flooding. Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted